Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're gonna explore the new features of the Solana Explorer. So we're exploring Explorer features. Yes, that makes sense. And to make it more fun, I'm gonna rank the features from S to F, like a proper tier list. But really this is highly subjective and just my opinion, so don't take the tier list too serious. The main idea of this video is to introduce you to the new features of the Solana Explorer because a lot of things were added. And some of them are really nice and some of them are like, would have been better without it in my opinion. But that's why I'm making this video, just for you to see them for yourself. Maybe some of them are really helpful for you, so I want you to be aware that they exist. Because here's the thing, I've been using the Explorer as my main Solana block explorer since forever basically. And there are other explorers. I did make a video where I compare them. And at parts I have been using Solscan more. But right now the Solana Explorer is my primary block explorer for Solana. And that's why I feel so strongly about this. And that's why I want to explore those features for myself and also for you. And give feedback as well to the maintainers, what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. But also that, personal opinion. Don't take it personally if I say mean things. I'm not gonna say mean things, but I'm gonna be honest, just so you know. I mean, we now have so many new features, but that's a new kind of development. The Explorer has been around for forever basically, for longer than I've been around, so has been here for a while, and it basically stayed the same the entire time. It used to be maintained by Solana Labs, but when Solana Labs split up into Answer and whatever, the Solana Explorer was just kind of put to Solana Foundation. And then it was in the hands of Solana Foundation and it stayed the same for a while. And now suddenly we're getting a lot of new features. So apparently somebody's actively pushing stuff there. Everybody can make pull requests. I mean, you can add features to the Solana Explorer if you want to. Just gotta make a pull request and then it's gotta be approved. And people have been doing that. For instance, I remember that All Domains was adding support for the Solana Explorer through doing that. So there have been new features, but only in the past few months I got the impression that they're really changing the appearance and adding quite a few new things. So that's why now I'm making this video. So far for the motivation. Now let's get started and look at those features and put them in a tier list. And for that, I will need a tier list. Tier list. Okay, I'm just gonna use Figma because I just need some tool to be able to do some kind of graphics. Look at this. Great. We have a tier list. Look, from S to F. S obviously the best. F obviously the worst. Okay, good. With that established, let's actually look at features of the Solana Explorer. Here at explorer.solana.com. This is my favorite, again, subjective opinion, but my personal favorite Explorer. And while we're on the topic of subjectivity, obviously when I rank those features, I rank them for how I use the Explorer. And how I use the Explorer might be very different to how other people use the Explorer because, for one, I use the Explorer in like 150% the resolution because usually we would be here, but for my videos that just doesn't look as good as if it looks like this. And yes, I'm mainly using the Explorer in my videos. Nah, that's actually not true, but my videos are a big part of what I do with Solana. I use the Explorer in my videos, so that's also one thing that I consider, like the aesthetics, how it is in my video, not just for me as a user, just as a disclaimer as well. Okay, with that out of the way, let's actually look at features. So we see that there's a bunch of stuff happening here on the start page, but most of that isn't new. They had the link to the Solana.com developers for a while, linking to all sorts of resources. But that thing down here I think is new. The upcoming mainnet beta features. So the first Explorer feature that we're gonna explore is Solana features. That makes perfect sense. For instance, here we see the next feature that's gonna be activated is SIMD 180, which was activated on testnet in epoch 830, on devnet 934, and it doesn't say for mainnet, but it seems like that's the next feature. And it also here on this side, here you also see that it links to the SIMD where we can read up on that, which is not what we're going to do today. But we can click on view all features, and here it will basically list all the feature gates and their activation epoch. You also find the link to that up here. So if you're in the Explorer, the homepage, we find a bunch of stuff up here, and feature gates is the first one right after the search box. But that is still a bit confusing. Here this doesn't look like a exhaustive list. This thing here, for instance, I don't even find that in there. SIMD 180, I don't find that here. So in feature gates, it doesn't seem to list the newest thing. So that's weird. That is not all of the feature gates. Let's see, does it change if oh, okay. So if I go to DevNet, then I see the ones for DevNet, and here we find the one that we see out there that is activated in 934, and right now on DevNet we're at epoch 1000, so that was the last one that is being activated. And then if we scroll down here, then it says the one for DevNet is 811 for drop unchained Merkle threads. And if we go to DevNet, here we see a bunch of features then without activation epochs. Okay, so this is confusing at best. Without looking into it further, feature gates, whoop, there we go. That's my amazing graphic skills. I would have given it a solid B if it would just show me all of the features, you know, like Solana feature status. I mean, maybe the reason why it doesn't list any is because none of them have an activation slot. That would make sense. So if they would have an activation slot, then maybe it would list them. Still, just because this is a bit confusing and I'm not entirely sure what it really does, I'm gonna give it a solid C. It's not like a bad thing. I'm not annoyed that they added it. I like that they added it. It's not in my way at all. Yeah. Okay. Next feature. Let's look at a random transaction and scroll over that part first. I like that it lets you expand and collapse those things. I think that's new. It's new. It's a feature. Let's put it on a list. Boom. And where does it go? It's a nice to have feature. It allows me to just show the things that I want to show. I would put that solid B tier. Yeah, I'll put it here. Okay, cool. Moving on. Expand. Now here they have added this column here. It used to only have those three. The address, the change of sol balance, the post balance, and then the flags, if it's signer, writable, or a program. But the size is new. That is interesting. Also, they added this total account size, how many bytes all of the accounts together take up. And I guess that's relevant for something that I haven't looked at yet. Now, here's my argument. I like to be able to see the account size. Okay, but if I want to know the account size, I can just click on the account and it will not tell me the size because that's a token account. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. So some things are not that easy. And some things are system program accounts without data. So here we'll see allocated data size is 0 bytes. But obviously you don't want to click on everyone and on every account. So it's nice to have that here, especially if you need the total, because otherwise you need to manually sum that up and that's annoying. But for one, I don't know why you need the total. That's probably for some optimization thingies and for requesting less space or whatever. Total account size. Haven't we made a video about that? I think I made a video about that once with a total account size that you can request through the compute budget program. And that also plays into priority. So yeah, it's nice to have that. So that's the pro. My con with this feature is that it blows up this table, and in most cases, honestly, I'm not interested in the account size. But okay, you could ignore that column. Yeah, fine. You can just ignore that column. Yes, there's a bit more data here, whatever. Fair. But this will get annoying if we're running out of space. If we were to have a higher resolution, then we wouldn't even see it fully here anymore and we would need to scroll here. Or when we use this feature here, which we will get to, then the size will also become a problem. So the account size in the accounts list, this thing, it's a good to have feature, but honestly, I'm not a big fan of it yet. Like, mainly for how much space it takes up. I don't like this column. The total account size though, just this thing, if we were to treat that as a separate feature, then I would give it a solid B, because that is helpful to have. I'm just not a big fan of this extra column, mainly for the space it takes up. And we will see that in action if we use the next feature, this one. This is actually quite a fun thing. We can give an address a nickname. Because usually I had to do it this way, that I use vanity addresses, such that you know which wallet is which and they don't start with random letters and numbers. Those two, for instance, are difficult to tell apart. They both start with 6. They're both token accounts. So here you would see this one is the receiver's token account, this one is the Chorus token account. So with derived addresses, obviously you can't do vanity addresses, and sometimes you don't want to. And so it's nice to give it a nickname, like Andy's wallet. There you go, nickname. And then wherever the Explorer finds this address, it will nickname it to Andy's wallet, with the downside that it blows up this table. And obviously that's just local for you. You name it in your browser, and I think it will remember it through cookies, because even if I reload, it still remembers that's Andy's wallet. So it's nice that you can do that for yourself. And then here with those 3 token accounts, as I said, it's difficult to tell them apart. Which one is the receiver's token account? Which one is my token account? This one, for instance, is Andy's token account. So that's Andy's ATA for this weird FUSDC token mint. I just want to get it to 32 characters, that you see if I name this too long, then it makes this table bigger, and then I need to scroll here back and forth. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I don't like an extra column, or why I don't like how that is formatted. Maybe I would just prefer if it would give me the nickname in a separate line and then the actual address in the line below. That would maybe make the formatting of this table better. But see, even the resolution, even if I change the resolution, it doesn't take up the entire space that it has on the site. I still need to scroll. So that's just, I don't like this. I don't like the UX of this. So I want to have it the full screen, and then I still need to scroll. It's just weird that I need to scroll in here to get all that information. I really don't like this, because it will blow up everything. Also here, now this table, I also need to scroll. I'm not interested in just the addresses. Obviously, I want to see the change and how many tokens I have now, but I don't see that without scrolling there. And if I refresh the page and I scroll there again, then I need to I need to find that bar down here and scroll here. It's just, usability wise, this is annoying. I don't want this. And that nickname just blows up this string, it's just, I don't like it. Down here it's okay, because here I have space to the left. But also there, I think it would even look better here if the nickname would be on top of the address and not in the same line. But that's just for usability. The feature itself that I can name them, I think is super cool. So this edit nickname, maybe it would be A tier if it wouldn't mess with the page layout so much. I would still put it B tier, because personally I don't use it that much. And also I have beef with it, because now with every address it adds this thing, which again, I mean, it's not super annoying. We also have that copy thing here, which I do think is cool. But now it also has something on the other side, and it just blows up how much I have to see here. How else would you do it? With an overlay? I don't know. I don't like that it's here for everything. Because, for instance, the token program, it says token program. Obviously, I don't need to manually name the token program anymore like I just did, because it's already done by the Explorer. So why do I even have this thing? And then if you don't put it to every address, because you don't need to name some of them, then how do you decide which ones you don't? So obviously it's better to have them at every address, yes. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of having this icon here everywhere at every single address in every location where there are addresses, because it just, again, blows up the design of the page. So I have more stuff in here, and for me, for my videos, I want the pages to be visually appealing, and the more stuff I add, the less visually appearing they are. So yeah, I have to remove points. Even though it's a cool feature, it won't go over B tier. Now that I keep talking about it, maybe I even need to put it down into C tier. It's a solid feature, but personally, I could go without it. And that brings me to the next thing. On the one hand, I wish there was a Explorer features settings page where I could say, yes, I want this feature, or no, I don't want this feature. But on the one hand, it would add complexity to the Explorer and just the page. And then it's more difficult to maintain this and test with different features. Some features might weirdly interact with each other. So in a way, it's good that it's just one Explorer version and it has all the features. But yeah, it just blows up things. And I'm not a big fan of that. From an A tier feature, I had to put you down to C tier. But yeah, that's just how it is, because I do make visual appearance important. Okay, what other features are there? That I can look at stuff raw. This has always been here. Also here that I can look at that stuff just with the accounts and instruction data. Ooh, but has it always done that it gives it to me in hex and in JSON? Maybe that thing is new. And I kind of like it. And I like that I can change between it decoding that and telling me what is the amount, and it just giving me the accounts and instruction data if I want the low level view of what actually went into the instruction. So I wouldn't say this is a new feature, but while we're doing a list of features, I'm gonna put it in here anyway. But just so you know what I would put in an A, this would be A list for me. Being able to switch from decoded to just the accounts and the data. But anyway, let's look at the elephant in the room, which I've been ignoring so far, which is this thing. And I have a thing to say about this CU profiling. In that, why? I mean, here, it's still okay. It's still fair, right? This doesn't look too stressful. If I have that transaction here and I scroll down and I see this, yeah, okay, whatever, I can ignore it and go to my accounts. But let's say that's my address. Perfect. So I'm just gonna transfer to this other address of mine, 0.001 sol. There you go. This. Let's check out this transaction. So far so good, that's how I'm used to it. And then all of a sudden there's this huge green bar. Like, what? Why is that so aggressively green? And like this, there's no reason for that to be here. I have one instruction. It takes 100% of the CUs, which is 150 in that case, which I can read from up here as well. Why do I need to stare at this huge green bar? That's just annoying. Because it's limiting. Look. What is this? What is this? This freaking... you know what? Why is it here? So the one thing is the placement. I don't like that after the overview, I directly get the CU profiling. But do I want the CU profiling before I even get the accounts or the instructions? Because let's go back to the previous example. Even here, great that it gives me the CU profiling with the instructions, but I don't even know what the instructions are yet because that information is down here. So the CU profiling, in my opinion, would make much more sense to put it after the instructions before the program logs, or even better, after the program logs where I can ignore it and never scroll down there. In this one it's okay because it gets darker down here, and here it's actually not too bad to look at that. But in this example, it's just this green, like this, whoa. Maybe not a very realistic transaction that I'm looking at here, but still. That's why sometimes in my videos, I ended up here and then I scrolled down to here where I'm like, okay, now I can, like this seems like acceptable background to have to talk in my video, because as soon as we are here, you are getting distracted with this giant green bar up there. Why is that there, you ask? And then you're not listening to me, which is not the point. Also, you don't need to listen to me. Also not the point. I'm just complaining about the design of this CU profiling thing. And I question whether or not it's that important. How often do you check the CUs of the instructions compared with the other instructions? Yes, I want to know how many compute units my instructions take, but wouldn't it make more sense to list it here maybe? I don't know. I'm not saying that it's a useless feature, because sometimes it is maybe interesting. You want to see, oh, this transfer actually consumed that many compute units and this one that many. So this is where the bulk of my CUs are. So maybe I can improve that program or call a different one or whatever. So in some cases that makes sense. But if we're thinking about, if I look at a transaction, what am I interested in? The CU profiling is maybe in 0.1% of the cases, or at most 1% of the cases. I don't come to the Explorer to look at the CU profiling, primarily at least, so this takes up too much space, and it's redundant as well. It here again tells me the total CU when I literally see it 4 spaces above. Like here it's the same number. Why do you need to make it like this? Is a bit too much. It's taking up too much space, important space that I always need to scroll over when I want to get to the accounts. So I'm missing the times where the accounts were directly after the overview. That's why, personally speaking, this CU profiling will go somewhere down in the E tier. I'm not giving it F tier because obviously it's a feature that has its place. It does make sense to be able to look at this. Again, I'm not really complaining about the feature. I'm more complaining about the UI implications that this feature has. So yeah, I think I made my points about this one. That being said, it is a nice feature. It is nice to be able to see which instruction takes up how many computes. I personally don't use it that much, and for how much I use it, I don't like how much space it takes. And because that's in every transaction and I use the Explorer primarily to look at transactions, I don't want that here. But again, personal opinion. Do with that what you want. Maybe move it down further where I'm not so annoyed by it. Thank you. Okay, moving on. What else? This is new, I think, as well. The refresh has always been here, I think. But the inspect and the download, they are new. What do they do? Inspect looks like the inspector. I expect that this inspect will export the transaction details into the inspector. Click it. We are going to the transaction inspector. That's what I expected. The inspector. Okay. And basically we are seeing the same transaction just now here in the inspector as if I pasted the transaction into the inspector probably. And here I will also see my wallet that I already named, and we see that a valid signature was provided, so this signature is valid for this address. We will see all of the accounts and we will see the instructions. That's nice. And then of course we can also simulate it, and then we would get the CU profiling. Aha, here I kind of like it. Here I just get the CU profiling if I simulate, otherwise this doesn't show up. So here I enjoy it, and it also shows up after the logs. So the transaction simulation logs is the important thing, and then comes the profiling of the compute units. That's great. I love it. That's good. And then probably the download, this button. Oh, cool. I can download in hex, base 58 and base 64. And that probably does the same thing as if I hit the download button here. Okay, cool. I can download in hex, base 58 or base 64. What that will do, it will give me this string. I downloaded this string now. And that, let me guess, if I paste it in here, it will also give me that same transaction again. Yeah. So basically this inspect button is just a quick way of downloading it and pasting that into the inspector. That will just do it directly. And here I can also again download it. Can also download it in hex and it will look like this. And also that I can paste into the Oh no, I cannot. Yeah, this one just takes base 58 or 64. But yeah, if you wanted it in hex, you could have that. If you wanted it in base 58, that's what that would look like then. But overall, I like this. Being able to directly inspect any transaction inside the inspector and just look at the accounts and the actual instruction data and everything. That's a useful feature. I'm gonna give this B tier. And the fact that I can download this transaction data, that is just a really cool feature. That must be at least A tier, if not S tier. Because it's not just your own transactions that you can download like this. It's any transaction. Any transaction of any block, you can just go here and download it or inspect. Oh, transaction was not found. Or maybe not. For this one, maybe there's a too fresh transaction and it... Now I can. Okay, it takes a while. If you use one from a very fresh block, then it still takes a while for that to work. A few seconds, which is a while in Solana terms. But yeah, I can inspect and then download any transaction. And that allows me to also simulate it again. And the cool thing about that, if I can download it, it's just much simpler for me to understand what are the accounts and what are the instructions. And then for each of the instructions, I can have a look at all of the accounts that it took and the instruction data, and I can copy that. Or even easier, if I downloaded it in base 64, then I can directly decode that transaction in the kit, for instance, and look at it there and analyze it there. So that's actually a really cool feature. How often do you need it? Not all the time, so I don't think it deserves S tier, but it's like close. It's close. I really like it. Whew. Okay, what else was new? Supply, I think we've always had that here. Programs. Loading verified programs. Ah, verified programs. That's new. There are only 283, hold on mainnet? Yep. There are only 283 verified programs. That's not a lot. Most programs are not verified. If you want to know what that is, I made a video about it once. You can look at that. Good. I like that it links to the... Again, anybody can name anything. So Solana programs makes it sound more official than it actually is. Good that it has a link to the GitHub. So yeah, it is cool that we have that we can look at that and then it directly links to the GitHub. Let's see, if I click on one of those dev tools, here it says program not verified, even though it's in the list of verified programs. What is that? Oh, here, this one says build verified. Maybe they upgraded it and it was verified once and it's not anymore. What is this? This gets me to more information on that stuff. Okay, interesting. That's good. So yeah, I mean, we had that for a bit. That's not really a new feature, whether or not it's verified, but the whole list of programs, that is new. However, it's only so useful as to how people verify their programs, and most of them don't. So it's kind of meh, verified programs, because I don't see how it's super useful. I'm just gonna put it here in D-list. Again, it's nice that we have that, but because nobody is really using that yet, or it doesn't feel like anybody is really using that yet, it feels like all of that is just random stuff that I'm not interested in. Name one verified program that is commonly used. No Jupyter, no Radium, not even the token programs are verified. So why even bother, right? Now, not to say that you as a dev shouldn't verify your programs, you absolutely should. I'm just saying nobody does it, so that's why we end up D-list. This is filling up nicely. So far, a nice bell curve. Not really, it's just the size of my images. Ah, this. Yeah, this is new. Look, for any token, there's now this verification part up here. This token is verified by independent validators. So we have 6 different sites that verify the tokens, because anybody can create a token. So obviously scams are happening. So this is a nice feature to avoid that. If you can see in the Explorer how likely it is that that is a scam coin. This is the official Circle USDC address, so all of them say this is verified. If I create my own token, then verification says not verified. This doesn't mean it's a scam. Just make double check if it's what you need. Just make double check. I found a grammar error. Sounds a bit wrong, but that's not a feature. And then it lists the 5 things how you can apply for verification. Interesting. You can verify with all of them, and that will just link you to the correct pages. That's cool. I like. See, this is not a feature for developers. This is more a feature for users who use that stuff, but also developers can use it. I see things from a developer perspective, same as this, the price. Like as a dev, I'm not interested in the price or in the volume, or maybe the market. That's more for traders. So the Explorer also caters a little bit to that. So yeah, token verification, me personally, and that's my personal list, I don't really need it. So I'm gonna put it C tier. Because it's not bad. I'm not annoyed by it at all. It's a good to have feature. And C is good to have. It's nothing really to complain about here. Just that it blows up the token page. But how often am I on token mint pages at the Solana Explorer? Not that many times. So it's fine. Yeah, whatever. It is here. It's a new feature that was added. I mentioned it. Moving on. What other new features do we have? Oh, look, the raw data download is also here in the transaction history now. That's interesting. And not only the download, but also a copy. If I copy that, can I paste that direct? I can paste that directly into the inspector. What did I copy here? The base 64 of that transaction. Oh, that's cool. So in a list of transactions, I can just copy and paste the base 64 encoded transaction. This is so cool. That's the same feature as the download. So I'm not gonna put that as a separate feature, but it's so cool that we can do this. It's actually probably my favorite new feature. But speaking of download, I was also promised that I can download stuff from an account. So how would that work? Okay, so I need an account. This one, for instance. A random account to a random program. Oh, look at this. Oh. Okay, so number one, this is counterintuitive. I would not have guessed that that is what it does if I wasn't looking for that feature. But there is this copy icon next to the size of the bytes. And the copy icon, that's next to every address. If I click it, then it copies the address. So this button taught me that it will copy what is to the left of it. So if I paste that, no surprise, that is the same as what I have here. And that's also for a transaction signature. I copy the signature. I can paste the transaction signature. Same. Now look what happens if I click the copy here of this 0. What I expect is, yeah, 0. It will just paste 0. But no, it will paste nothing. Okay, fine. Let's see what happens if I copy this 35 here. I'm gonna paste and I'm gonna expect that it gets me 35, but no. This looks like hex. And this looks like 35 bytes in hex. 14, let's copy the one with 14. That's only half as long. That's just 14. So if that's 14, 3, 4, 5. Indeed, 35. That's 35 bytes in hex. Okay, cool. That's cool. I would have not found that feature if Jonas wouldn't have told me that that is a feature that they have and I was just looking for. You can copy the account data. So the actual bytes that are stored in the account. For this one, let's copy the address. Let's look at the address. Here, it's 11191 in hex. That's what we copied, 11191, and then all the rest. Those are the bytes that it copied. Now the Explorer can do that. The Explorer can basically give me all the data. Hey, that's a feature that I always wanted the Explorer to have. Just that I wanted to have it in a different form. But hey, that's a feature that I wanted the Explorer to have. That's amazing. You know how I would expect that feature? Or where I would expect that feature? Inside the page of the account. In here, here where it says 35 bytes, here somewhere give me the download button, or even better, show me directly. I would really love to just be able to click the, I don't know, raw bytes or something, and then show me the bytes here. Basically show me this thing here. That's a feature that I would love for the Explorer to have, because that I need a lot. I often type Solana account in CLI because the Explorer won't give me that directly. So if I can wish for a feature, then I would wish for that one. And I kinda have it here. As soon as my account is in a transaction, then here in the list of accounts, I can copy apparently the post state of the account, because also this is the post balance, this will be the post size, and then also the data will be the post account data, I guess. So that's cool. Does that give me historical data? I would assume so, but I'm not actually sure. Maybe it always just gives me the current data, because otherwise the Explorer needs to remember the data of every account for every transaction, which would be a lot of data. So maybe that just gives me the current one, but I'm not sure about that. Kind of want to test this. I'm gonna recycle stuff from here, and I'm basically just gonna set from 1 to 4. I'd executed this transaction again with great CU profiling. I'm getting annoyed by this, gotta scroll down. So here are the accounts that are involved. Andy, some writable account with 0 bytes. That account doesn't exist. Ah, that's why it's failing. Maybe I need to do this. Okay, that looks better. Oh, every time we're creating a new account. I remember how my program worked. Okay, so we were creating this new account, this 6 and blah, 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 blah. Let's remember this one. Let's give it a nickname. I'm just gonna call it data account in order not to blow up the whole thing. So that data account, that's the one that I'm interested in now. There is no copy here now. I just created that account. It has 35 bytes though. And if I Solana account this account, then I get the bytes of the account. And second byte is 4, because that's what I wrote in here. Okay, if I now go back to the transaction, oh, now it suddenly says 35. So maybe this size really just queries for the current state. If I copy this now, then I will see I have the 4 here. So let's change the state of the account, and now I set it to 2, for instance, and then I call this program again. Now remember the transaction from before, the 3CMT, where that account had 35. Now in a different tab, I'm gonna open this transaction, the 4, which comes after the 3, and here we changed the account state. If you're not sure what that program does, it doesn't matter. I did that in the fundamentals classes with the getting started. You can look at those. The important thing is, if we now had a look at the same account, then this 4 would change to a 2. So obviously if I copy here that data account's data, then I should get the 2, which I do. But now my question is, if I go back here and maybe I even refresh here, if I scroll down to that thing again, if I copy that 35, what do I get? The 4 or the 2? The old state or the new state? What's your guess? My guess would be the current state, so the new state. And it is the current state. Yes. So here if we copy, just be aware that we're not copying the state after the transaction was executed. We are copying the current state of this account, which is important to know so you're not getting confused. Otherwise it would not make sense. It would be technically way more complicated to implement this feature than if it just gets the current state. But that's why I find it weird. I would even expect that if I would resize my account now, then it would say something different here. And then also the total account size would possibly be wrong. So then that would just be accurate right after the transaction was executed, or really at the point when the transaction is executed. Afterwards, the state might change and those values might change. I'm expecting that, because we also saw when we created a new one, wait, let's do that again. When we created a new account, this 7e something, and we look at this one right away, then also here it doesn't have the space for this one yet, and then it says the total account size is 50, when really it should be 85, because it takes a while for the Explorer to get the state of it, and now it's 85 here as well. That's fun. So yeah, this is working on current state, which is why those values are not super accurate. They are accurate in current state, but not for when the transaction was executed. Good that I didn't give this feature higher than B list, because it's working on current state, not the state when the transaction was executed. You just need to be aware that's what it does, and then it's fine. But yeah, where were we actually? What were we actually analyzing? Oh yeah, they're copying the data. This, man, that's a good feature. I mean, I love it. Even though it just uses current state, and even though I would expect it to have it here where we have the actual account, because honestly, do you really need to be able to copy the data from here? I guess it would be fine to make that one click here and then copy it from here. This is how I would have implemented this feature, that you need to go to the accounts page and then, I don't know, have a download here. Like, I would have imagined this to be the same as here, where at the transaction level there's a download button. Here for the account, a download button that downloads the account's data, or just here, or also just show it to me here. But hey, now that I know that this thing I can click and I get the account data, now I know where that feature is. And hey, good that I'm making this video, because otherwise you might be confused about this too and think that this just copies the number 35 or the number 14 or the number 36 here. Good that we tried this out. That's actually nice. And it's good that this copies the account data. Cool. So this thing, where does it go? It's at least a list, like the download of the transaction. But because the Explorer didn't have the possibility to even look at accounts data before, I think I will need to put this into S tier. This is a great feature. Also, it's the same icon as the copying of account addresses or copying of signatures. And that feature, by the way, also deserves S tier, because without that, the whole Explorer, it would all be so much less comfortable to have to manually select it and copy. It's so nice that you can just go here and click copy. So that definitely is an S tier feature. And also being able to copy it for all the accounts, that's pretty cool. You can even copy the data from the system program. And in that example that we had here, where we had the memo program, the 74 kilobytes program, can I also just copy that and then paste that here? Yes, I can. Here we go. If you wanted to know what the memo program looks like, or the data of the memo program, because again, that's a native program that's deployed into this account. So yeah, that's what that looks like. Yeah, fun. I did give this feature S list, but maybe I need to retract. Maybe I need to put it back to A list, because see, I can't copy every account now. I would like to, for instance, for the program I deployed here, this is the program I deployed, right? And that program has executable data. That's the account. I can look at this here. That would be the entire deployed program, right? That's the program data account. But I cannot copy the data from here. Not true for executable program accounts. There is even this download button here. Hey, by the way, why didn't you do this same thing? Like this, but this icon. This is what makes me think that I can download this many bytes. That button will make it download and not copy it. So yeah, it's a different thing, but at least here I understand what it does. So fair enough. But yeah, I don't know. I wish this would exist for every account, and it looks like you have that somehow available by being able to copy any kind of data account here. But in order to be able to do that, I need to find it in a transaction. If I'm just here in an account, for instance, okay, this one doesn't even have any data, but if we were to go back to USDC, for instance, this token account, I would love to just be able to download it. But okay, token accounts are special as well. But also that, here's another feature that I would love to have. For token mints or any account that is specially treated, like program accounts or whatever, give me a raw. Give me a treat it the same as if it was just a random account, where it tells me what's the assigned program ID and what's the account size, what's the account balance. Give me that metadata. That's the kind of raw stuff that I would like to see also for token accounts. Give me a raw button here that I can look at that, because maybe I'm not interested in those token specific things. Maybe I'm interested in, well, how many bytes does this account have? That's more relevant for tokens for token extensions, but yeah, that's another feature I would like to see, just in case the people who are maintaining this are watching, which I know they are, some of them, because they ask me what features I want, and here you are. That's the features I would love. More of that raw stuff, which I like to put into A tier. But hey, I think that's good. No, that's not good. Another thing that I'm not so sure about with this feature, does it do several RPC requests just to get the account data for those? Because when I copied the memo program, or when I copy something here, that looks instant. So it looks like the browser already has the data loaded. And especially for like big accounts like we had earlier, the memo program, like in most cases, you don't need that. I don't need to copy this. But if it, just in case you copy it, does the RPC requests and gets all the data, if that increases the loading time of the transaction details, which it looks like that takes quite a while, then I'm not a big fan of that feature, honestly. And I don't know how it is implemented, and I'm not gonna look at it. I'm just gonna point that out for the people who are maintaining this. If you're doing separate RPC requests for that, maybe I really don't want that feature. And if that's the case, then I'm gonna put it down one more tier, because responsiveness and quickly loading transactions is more important to me than being able to copy the account data. But I'm gonna leave it A tier for now and hope that is not affecting the time that it needs to load the transaction details. Gonna give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that it's well implemented and doesn't take extra time. By the way, I would be okay if I click here that it would give me a loading screen and then an okay tick once the RPC request was handled when it actually loads the data. But I guess when you have the size in bytes, it already had to do that request. So I don't know how it's implemented. Anyway, I'm already overanalyzing this one feature, but it's a cool feature. I like it. I don't like the placement of this column, but I do like that I can copy the data. And I would like it even more if I could do it inside the accounts page. And I have said that several times. So let's move on to a new feature. Another new feature. What else is there? There's only one more big thing that I'm aware of, and that is for programs with IDLs. We did create a program on day 2, and we did upload the program IDL. Ha! Anchor did that automatically for us. It was a 031 Anchor IDL. And for programs with IDLs uploaded, there is now not just that we can look at the IDL on chain, that has been a feature for a while, but there's this interact now. Launch Anchor's instructions. And look, that's the program that we built in our Getting Started course. We can just interact with that directly from the browser with a browser wallet. So I'll need to connect the wallet. So I can select the cluster. I'm gonna connect the wallet. Okay, I guess that's my wallet address, which it pastes into here automatically. If it pastes the same thing into the state account as well, then this is obviously not gonna work. That state account we will need to manually create. So obviously you can't do everything with that. If I need another instruction before, then that won't work. For instance, here we created this account. So for this pro, if we go to the IDL interact, let's go to the get mood. This one, if I paste this account, this one I should be able to execute also from this wallet. Ha! Transaction sent. Nice. And all it does, it adds the compute budget instructions and then my get mood. The mood is happy. And that's just a random example. Basically, any program that has the IDL uploaded, you can execute individual instructions of it. If it's just executing that instruction, you can provide the accounts and the instruction data if required, like here, the instruction data and the accounts. So for instance, like this or like this, your wallet and this. And that it won't let me execute because I don't have the authority, or it's not even the right PDA, but whatever. But just now we were able to execute this transaction from my browser wallet that was fee paying for this one transaction that interacted with this program just through this program IDL interact. So that's quite a nice feature. You can also download the IDL, but again, also that I don't think is new. Just this interact I think is new. And I would give that, is that B tier? I would say that's even A tier. Because it's pretty cool that you can do that and it doesn't mess with the rest of the Explorer features. This is nowhere up here. It's only in the program account. If you go to the program IDL and then to the interact, will you get to use this? Obviously, you can't do everything with that, but for quick testing or for quick interaction with other programs, this is pretty sweet. So yeah, A tier. I'm gonna say A tier. And there's one last feature that I will have a look at that I already saw somewhere, and that's receipts. But where did I see this? If I add view receipt. Receipts can only be generated for transactions, what did it say? That contain a single transfer. Okay, so for instance what we did here, where we transferred 0.01 sol, something like this. Ha! Yeah, that's where I saw. Here, the view receipt. If I click that, then we get a Solana receipt. I don't know how to pronounce it. Receipt, something is silent. I think the P is silent. Anyway, so it tells me the network, it tells me the status, it tells me what was transferred, sender, receiver, and that's a receipt. I can open that transaction, then I'm back to Explorer. That's how I would usually see it, with that big ass annoying green bar. But yeah, that would be the regular transfer, and here we would see the regular things. And the receipt way to show it is like this. This is, I think, more user-friendly, and we can copy a shareable link that will also get me to this page where we just see the relevant things, right? For a user who is not interested in the CU profiling, for instance, or the accounts or whatever is happening in the background, they are just interested in this. Who sent it, who received it, and is it confirmed, finalized, and maybe also was it sent on the real mainnet or just on DevNet? Yeah. And how much of what was transferred? Does it also go for tokens? Oh, look, I have tokens. I have no idea what those are. But what if I transfer this token 0.1 to this guy? Yeah, that works. Then I get a signature. Can paste. Wow! I put the signature in here and then it directly gives me the receipt. If I put the signature in here, then it gets me the transaction as I expected. And here I can also say view receipt and I will go there. Cool. And that's 3 instructions because it was creating a token account and whatever. But really it's just sending this one token. It says 0.1 token because it doesn't know what token. Maybe for USDC would probably say USDC, but I'm not even gonna test that. So yeah, those receipts are pretty fun, user-friendly, I would say. For me as a dev, not super great. I would say this is a nice to have feature. I would put it into B because me personally, I'm not ever gonna use that ever, I think. But for other people, it could be helpful. So there you go. You can now use receipts. Cool. And I would say with that, we're done. Am I too picky, or why is there nothing in S tier? Also, am I too generous, or why is there nothing in F tier? You can ask the same thing the other way around. So It's good that there's nothing in F tier. There's no feature that I hate, and there's no feature that I completely love. But there's one thing I actually haven't looked at yet that is also new, and that's the TOS, Terms of Service, which they have added recently, which makes it a feature. So they have now end user license agreements, or terms, between the Solana Foundation and you, the user. So yeah, you can totally read through that, which is absolutely necessary that everybody does, especially the disclaimer. They're not responsible for anything, basically. User data. We will maintain certain data that you transmit to the site. Withdrawal of consent, and then a contact. So this is probably just here for legal reasons, but it is a new feature and it is important. Here it goes. List is done. No, just kidding. This is obviously, yeah, great that they added that. It doesn't annoy me like CU profiling does, so maybe it goes D tier. Yeah, it's important for other people, not for me. I have totally read it, totally. So yeah, nothing else to say about this. So yeah, that's my final list. Except, you know what, I'm gonna pump this up to S tier again, just because my list looks better then. And also, I mean, it is an S tier feature. I'm just not yet happy with how it is implemented. But you've seen the video, I'm not gonna mention again what I want changed. So if they would make those changes, then the latest it would be an S tier. Also the downloading, great feature, S tier worthy. Interacting is super cool. Like there's a bunch of very cool features that the Explorer has added. Some annoy me a bit because they mess up the layout and the site doesn't look as nice anymore. But overall, I'm happy with the features that were added to the Explorer, and I'm happy that new stuff is being added and that it is still being maintained such that it keeps working. That's the most important thing. Really, see, this is also not a new feature, but the inspector having this thing is just so cool. If that was a new feature, inspector, and the fact that I can just look at transactions, that's still S tier. Like the basic functionality is what I would put into S tier, and the inspector, but that's not a new feature. So yeah, they also did some bug fixes and whatever that I didn't talk about, and they made some small changes, but from the main features that they added, I think those are the most recent ones, and I guess there are more to come for me to put in my tier list and for you to check out. And with that, I'm gonna check out. That's it. That's my list. Thanks for watching this episode of Andy's playing around with the Solana Explorer and showing you all the new features and putting them into an arbitrary list based on his own feelings. Yes, that's what happened. That's what we did today. But I hope that you got something out of it and that you can now use those features productively. I mean, I found out how I can download the account data. I didn't know that before. So that's cool. Yeah, and then let me know what other features you would like the Explorer to have. Maybe the maintainers can get inspired and implement a few of those. I just hope that they don't mess with the design too much, because that's the main thing that bothers me personally. Yeah, I guess with that I can leave it. Thank you for watching. There are some other videos that you can watch. Give this one a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. And then I will see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye.